Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and we're back again with another anime discussion wrap-up for the last couple of weeks of newer shows. And we're knee-deep into the season, getting towards the final stretch of things. And as per usual, the ground rules is I'm a couple episodes behind because I'm watching dubbed versions. I'm only watching shows that I've kept up with, and that I have dropped some here and there, but I haven't dropped any in the last couple of weeks. So the ones that you've heard about are going to be the ones I'm going to be talking about. So Dandadan, Nina the Starry Bride, Demon Lord 2099, and Natsume's Book of Friends. So we'll be talking about those as well. Anything else, I probably dropped an earlier episode, so go back and listen as to why I did that. And then speculation of where things go, things that I either predicted properly, didn't predict properly, and whatnot. Obviously, spoilers for anything if you haven't seen and kept up on these. And then just as kind of a jumping off point for everything going forward. But we'll start with Dandadan, and I'm a little frustrated because after the really intense episode with the acrobat Silky and her story, they kind of go back to the goofy stuff. And as cool as it is, I found episode 8 to be fine. I didn't find episode 9 to be all that exciting, and here's why. Takakura and Iroh were like kind of getting together subtly as kind of this love triangle mess with Momo, and that's all fun and cool. I'm okay with stupid teenagers having like stupid teenager drama. It doesn't seem right in a show like this, but it adds to the characters, and they're all interesting characters, and they're all like intriguing in their own way. And the mechanism of, hey, I just want to be stronger, but then this girl's chasing me around and whatever the fuck. So she chases him around, and then they fall on top of each other. Momo spots them and then thinks, well, you're fucking losers and whatever. But all he has to do, and I'm kind of glad that they went this route later, is just let me explain my side of the story rather than you flying off the handle, which is kind of neat. Obviously, bringing back the aliens with a stolen banana, that shit's kind of funny, but I don't think I don't know if I liked the battle sequence all that engaging. Mainly because I didn't really understand what the fuck was going on. Dandadan has that fully coolly energy where it's so fucking weird, you just go along for the ride. And if you're looking for something where stuff makes sense, you're not going to find it. If you want a show where your brain is going 100 miles an hour, or you're high, or you're stoned, or drunk, and you need something that's just fucked up, this is kind of your thing. So it was still an awkward situation. Like, I knew that the battle stuff in earlier episodes was messed up, so I knew that this was the thing that they would do, but I found that the episode with the aliens chasing all three of them with a boxer snail Japanese salesman guy, whatever the fuck that was, too much was trying to happen. It wasn't, we're just here to kick your ass. It was, let's kick your ass, but make it weird, too. So you had Nessie, then you had weird water effects everywhere that's all green and shit. Then you have, like, everybody changing forms, and you're still trying to kind of process the fact that Ira has Acrobat Silky's powers, so you don't remember whose version of what is talking at that point. And then you're just like, Momo's gone for half the episode, and then everything it's just a mile an hour, a mile a minute, and it was a little frustrating to kind of get my head around. But then it all ended up working out for it, because their way of getting back home, they ended up like stripping naked for whatever reason, because I guess it makes them fight better? I don't know. This show has a tendency of overdoing the nudity just for fun, I guess. But then when they come back to the school, they're still nude. So the end sight gag of them running away while in public view of everyone was worth it. All of my frustration ended up reminding me, oh, okay, the show still knows what it's trying to do, because they ended up in the school, and they were in the school grounds for the fight itself, but they were in an alternate reality. So where do they go when they're done? Well, it stands to reason they'd be in class. So now you have people hugging each other while they're nude in the school hallway with everyone watching. For all my frustrations, I'm happy that they at least closed that loop and then made it a good gag at the end there. I still think the height of the show is when it's trying to be about the characters and less about the weirdness, but I guess you need the weirdness to facilitate being unique. Don't ask me. Nina the Starry Bride, on a different side of the equation, is... I'm not frustrated, but angry and frustrated. So I'm not frustrated, but I'm still frustrated. Why? Because the show did exactly what I feared it would do. I was already kind of not into Prince Set when he was introduced, because his character was the pompous, annoying, I'm just a nihilist and nothing matters to me and you're stupid. Why would you fall for me? So Nina's like, go get him, I don't give a shit about you, but I'll do what I want attitude, butts up against all of Golgotha and the other princes, because now they do this thing where, no, Prince Set isn't the one who's going to marry this person. Any one of you could marry them. So you have this stupid thing where the black prince does this and the white prince does that, and the white prince is Set, but then if you go to the other prince, he's an evil bad guy, and he's like, I'm not here for the throne, but I'm totally here for the throne because I did the evil smile, you know. But then you also do Prince Set sort of falling for Nina too, and I'm just like, dude, you're set up as the main bad guy. I don't need a love triangle in every show. I just got done with that with Dandadan. I think what frustrates me is that Nina had already established that Azure, in this other situation, was the main person that she fell for. Okay, we spent like 2 or 3 early episodes establishing that they fell for each other. Why am I trying to establish another relationship with a different guy who's several shades more annoying and nihilistic just because Stockholm Syndrome? But at least in this instance, they bring Azure back as the new ruler of the thing. My guess is that they're trying to get Nina back and then evade Golgotha too, even though they're probably not strong enough to do it. But at the very least, they're closing that loop. Hopefully, this whole Prince Set business, like, if you're going to establish a main narrative of you falling in love with somebody, I don't really need a villain as a secondary love interest. I really don't. And I think the show should be smart enough to get out of it, you know, because they're trying to establish other stupid villains as annoying assholes that are worse than Set, but I don't know if I really care enough about them to sit there and go, I just spent 3 episodes establishing this main bad guy, and now you're telling me they've fallen for each other? Because why? Because reasons? So now is Prince Set the normal, the love interest? Is this the misguided villain that's going to change the error of his ways and then not become such an asshole to other princesses? I don't get it. It's very convoluted for a show that was doing pretty good and pretty well at avoiding all of the annoyances that come with love triangles, because they said, no, we're not going to do that. So they go and do it anyway. Because every show has to either be a harem, even if it doesn't have to be, a harem if it wants to be, or a love triangle if it doesn't want to be, or a love triangle if it wants to be. That's just anime for you. if you can have one love interest, you can have two. Or if you can have two, you can have five. That's just the rule. Or you can be that show where you have 100 girlfriends. I haven't seen that one, so I don't know. To say I'm a little disappointed in Nina for going that route is an understatement, but I still think that there's like 4 or 5 episodes left of the season. There should be enough. All right. Up to something I'm less disappointed about is Demon Lord 2099. They've started to filter in the explanation as to what the immortals are doing and why they're being hunted. They threw away the sight gag of the streamer bullshit for more straightforward, I'm doing espionage stuff and I'm beating up dudes. So one episode was about beating up some dudes and stopping a heist or whatever, or getting data to a dude who had already been killed, but you find out that his data was actually telling you that the main bad guy dude that beat the shit out of the main lead, Veltol, has already been like, okay, well, this is my plan all along. I'm using immortals as a power source, so I'm taking them to my power source and, powering this entire city. So there's that, little subplot of do you kill the many to save the few? Because what ends up happening is Veltol finds out that Machina's been kidnapped as well, because the main bad guy dude just beat the shit out of her. I do like the fight scenes. I more like the fact that this show has this main lead who understands his role in this new environment, and they do just enough of the cyberpunk stuff to at least let him feel like he's an outsider trying to make his way into it, and other characters are reasonably, okay, well, we're reasonably well adjusted, but we're also outsiders too, and we're fighting against this evil corporation business, and everybody's tied together in some way. I also enjoy bringing back the main hero dude who is like jaded as fuck. And he and Veltol have these, I want to say his name was Graham. Graham and Veltol have these like back and forths about, well, why should I help you in your business? Because you're the main bad guy that I fought. But then I realized that all of the stuff that I fought for was meaningless in the end. So what am I still fighting for? And these like philosophical arguments of trying to save the many and the few, because the worse evil is out there if we don't stop him. So I like that, even if it's not like the most intense show in the world sometimes, or the most groundbreaking, like Dandadan is groundbreaking in its own way because it's just trying everything and throwing shit at a wall, and it works for that show. This one works well enough because it's trying to breathe some philosophical arguments despite being very stock, So every show that I'm watching is trying something, whether it's, okay, this main character is a good show, or this giving you this philosophical argument in spite of being a basic isekai in a new world. They're trying things that add to the standard. And it also feels like they're characters rather than, I'm just a guy. They're at least trying to breathe life into characters that really we've seen millions of times before, but doing it with some heart. And that's sometimes all I ask for, is some version of a heart, even if the show itself is okay in the grand scheme of things. Because then you'd have the Demon Lord Retry situation where everybody just says the same stupid things and it just dies on a vine after 4 or 5 episodes because you've seen everything. But speaking of heart, we're into Natsume's Book of Friends, and this is the one that I had the most like new stuff to talk about because it's been my binge watch, so I've had to kind of keep up with it, but I've kept up with it really fast. I'm already through into season 4. And a lot of stuff has happened in the last couple of weeks. And most of Natsume's stuff doesn't change, but a lot of the layering of the relationships has, namely with Torotaki, is a friend of Natsume's who's an onmyoji, and she has a few episodes describing her backstory, like that her grandpa was much like Natsume's grandma. They were into their occult stuff, and they want to carry on the legacy. She is one of the few that still understands that he sees, because she has these like magic circles, and she can see what's going to go through them, and she sometimes uses that as a catching mechanism, so as a trap, to see what Natsume is seeing, to trap the yokai that he's facing. But by and large, it's like several different layers of relationships that are building on each other, and Natsume has to coalesce all of them. He's, spending episodes talking about his foster family, because he's still kind of traumatized from being passed around from family to family. So he's trying to get used to being with the Fujiwaras. He's trying to deal with having Master Kitty Cat as his bodyguard. So the bodyguard, is hurt in some episodes, can't help him, or is just there to fuck around with him and be stupid. There's other episodes where his normal school friends are trying to just pal around with him, and he's like unsure of himself, but he's also happy about it. He has people like Taki, and I believe it's Tanamura or Tamamura, who knows that he sees them, and he's at least been willing to this part in the story to tell them, yes, I see yokai, and for whatever it's worth, I don't want to hurt you, but I'm also willing to have you help me in my journey. Even there are some episodes, I think it was, what was it? The Broken Mirror. This yokai was looking for this mirror that would help save a lover, I suppose. But the mirror broke, and she threatened Natsume, so they had to go around looking for the mirror. And while they're doing that, just like the Dandadan thing, they would, people at school would look at them and go, why are you looking at the mirror? Why are you wandering in the pool? Why are you doing this stuff? So people know that they're looking around for weird things, but they don't know why, and they're still considered weird. So you have that layer of friendship where a couple of them know he sees yokai, and he's already told them that he does. So they have their own relationship with him separate from their friends, but they're all together. But then you have the layering of the yokai friends, and I think that's where it's fun, because you still deal with, are you an evil yokai? Are you a bad one? Are you an exorcist that's like Hattori, who's a little more friendly, or are you like Mataba, which is I'd say is going to end up being the main villain the whole time, where he's just nihilistic and he thinks that yokai are fucking pointless. He shoots freaking Madara with an arrow. He kidnaps Natsume. All manner of things. He's trying to gain power over yokai and basically bend them to his will, or even just destroy them. So he has no qualms about it. So, at least with this show, they know that there's enough of goodness in Natsume's approach that he's able to broach okay, if you're evil, I have to do something. It's irredeemable. You have to be taken care of. But I'm trying not to kill people. But he's also faced with the uncertainty of knowing that eventually that's going to catch up to him. And his naivete is going to come at a cost. And that's where it's starting to manifest, because these exorcists have different motives. And, if he's going to keep getting kidnapped or hurt, that's his own damn fault. So the show is balancing having these episodic things that are kind of neat. They also are good at bringing back other characters here and there. Like, you could go an episode or two without seeing certain people, and then you'll see like 2 or 3 where they stick around a lot longer. One of the side characters that's been getting like every season, it's been this Fox kid, And his whole thing is he just likes Natsume and doesn't see him a lot, so every time he wants to, he just needs to see him. And that's like his entire motivation. Is like he just wants to be friends, but he knows that he's not like always around him, so he's just excited. So there's an episode where he's waiting in a city or a forest and is just like super giddy about being around Natsume again. So that, you know, it's heartwarming to have episodes like that where you're not always around the same people, but you see them again and then they crop up and you're like, oh, I remember you, you're awesome. Or, oh no, it's them again, you know. So they do enough to stay episodic, but build on the relationships that are already existed. And now that you have all of these like more intense things happening, these like two-parter episodes, from the broken mirror to this yokai kid, there was all this episode about a false friend, where this guy was supposedly Natsume's friend in school, but was using him to try and talk to a yokai who was ill and was going to try and eat the friend, but then decided to just become his friend until she passed on. So there's a lot of like cool avenues that the show can go down. It could just be a standard yokai episode. It could be a episode about stupid school days bullcrap. It could be an episode about The Exorcist. It could be an episode about Natsume and Madara doing dumb things or serious things. Shut up, phone. It can be an episode about like how Natsume grew up and why he is the way he is, and he's reflecting on his past life. There's so many things that the show does, and again, I've called this like comfort food show, because there's still so much left of it, and I'm still trying to get towards episode or season 7, which is the current one, but everything is building on itself and doing all it needs to do to just feel like, yeah, this is this world that inhabits this kid's life. And there's so many different ways the show can go, but they all end up coalescing into these nice, easy things to talk about and explore. So I'm about halfway through the show now, and I'm not regretting binge watching it at all. So if any show, I'd say Natsume's Book of Friends. I mean, Dandadan has the more excitement, but Natsume has the more just sophisticated, like straightforward, this is a good show to watch. You know, it's not going to be the best thing. It's never going to be the worst thing. It's just going to be good, and it doesn't even seem like it's going to drop. You know, Nina and Demon Lord 99 are pretty solid, and they're probably going to stay that way. Though I have heard that some people do not like where 2099 ends up going, which is a fear, because those are the episodes I'm not yet caught up on. So I suppose that'll be for the next episode someday. But that's up for this recap. Let me see. So next week is Casshern Sins. I've already recorded that episode. We've got another couple of, you know, because every other episode is going to be a wrap-up going into new seasons. So December 21st is going to be Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. January 4th is Hige Hero. The 18th of January is How I Got Into Japanese Anime and JRPGs. And then February 1st is Ys 8, The Art of Exploration and Progression. Should be an interesting concept, having played through Ys Nordics as a good counterpoint. So that's what I'm doing for the next little while. I'm going to be catching up on all these shows, and I'm going to be watching the new stuff that comes out, because like Apothecary, Frieren, My Happy Marriage all get new seasons. There's probably going to be so many other things. So as the new winter season comes around, I'm still going to be finishing up this stuff. But then eventually I'm going to be talking about all the new stuff that debuts. So everything is going to keep working on its own time. But that'll do it for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.